What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today we are talking about this.
You may recall a few weeks back, Beatrice came on Reality Check and told us about the work that she's been doing on these so-called transient objects in geostationary Earth orbit, which she, in a couple of new papers, suggested were in fact artificial, reflective, constructed objects. It was and remains a momentous paper. And the reason we're bringing Beatrice back today is because there's been a new development.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Y'all, I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. All right, so what is this story about? This is actually very exciting, and it's hitting mainstream science. Basically, Dr. Beatrice Villarreal and her team have been studying photographic plates from before Sputnik. So before we ever put anything up in space, they were studying the sky, and they found what they believed to be non-human, right? These sort of artificial objects that may have been up there before we had anything up there, right? So how could there be things up there if we don't have anything up there yet, right? So this is very exciting. Again, it's hitting mainstream science. They have papers that are now been peer-reviewed and released and published, and that's what we're going to go over today. This is very exciting. It's not confirmed all the way, but it's close. Now, there's a paper that's been released on Nature. I'm going to put a link to it in the description. Please go check it out if you want more, nerdy scientific details about it. But in today's video, we'll talk about it in layman's terms as much as we can. And don't forget, y'all, if y'all want to support my psionics documentary and just get some extra behind the scenes footage, a monthly Zoom meeting with me and the other producer on the film, feel free to sign up. Here's the link right here. All right, so let's get to this interview with Dr. Beatrice because there is some new updates, as I've just mentioned. Take it away, Ross.
First off, Dr. Beatrice Villarreal. You may recall a few weeks back, Beatrice came on Reality Check and told us about the work that she's been doing on these so-called transient objects in geostationary Earth orbit, which she, in a couple of new papers, suggested were in fact artificial, reflective, constructed objects. It was and remains a momentous paper. And the reason we're bringing Beatrice back today is because there's been a new development. Beatrice, welcome to Reality
Hello.
Check. What's happening? What's the news?
Well, there are actually some good news. So we had two papers that were exciting. One about the transient UFO and new connection by Stephen Brewell and myself. And the second paper where we are searching for NHI artifacts by looking for things that look like solar reflections and satellites in pre-Sputnik images. And both these two papers have now passed peer review, and they are accepted for publication. In fact, they are published. So they got published on Monday. Now,
wow, so you have now two papers on UAPs published as peer-reviewed papers. In which journals?
So one is a scientific report, and that belongs to the Nature journals. And the second is publications of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, PASP, and it's a good astronomy journal.
This is momentous, Beatrice. I know how hard it is to get anything on UAPs past peer review. You've basically got an article which has survived the scrutiny of all of the peer review experts, essentially an article suggesting that there are artificial constructed objects that were reflective, specular, in Earth orbit before humans sent up objects into space.
Exactly. So it's fun. It's very exciting to have these.
Now, you were expecting to get shot down, weren't you? You were expecting quite an aggressive response from debunkers and peer reviewers. Was it a tough go to get through the peer review?
It was really tough for this paper with NHI artifacts, but the referee was constructive and curious, and I think that's the golden thing when you are talking to a curious person. They do propose good tests, and you can try and you can check. So it was difficult, challenging, but great. I enjoyed the process.
Congratulations. I mean, it's very rare to get anything relating to UFOs, UAPs, unidentified objects into a peer-reviewed journal, especially journals as prestigious as the ones you're talking about. Let me do a quick summary. So the study that you did, you were looking at pre-satellite transient sky events. And you basically analysed nearly 300,000 short-lived transient events that were captured on red sensitive photographic plates from the first Palomar sky survey. And these exposures were all taken between 1948 and before humans put satellites up in the late 1950s. And each of these exposures lasted about 45, 50 minutes. And you focused on identifying cases where 3 or more transient points appeared along a straight line during the same exposure. And the reason why those lines matter is if a single flash appears on a sky plate, it could be a glitch, but multiple point-like lights perfectly aligned and visible in one long exposure photo, that hints at something coordinated, possibly spinning or reflective objects. And you can rule out natural sources like meteors, stars, and asteroids. They don't line up and appear simultaneously. You can rule out now plate defects because you were able to show, weren't you, as you told us previously, that when you go into the shadow of the sun, obviously it removes the reflectiveness. So clearly it's not a plate defect. And you basically, what the only plausible explanation is artificial reflections from flat, highly reflective surfaces in geosynchronous orbit.
So again, this is very exciting. I'm going to put a link down below. Go check out the rest of that interview if you want, but that's basically the gist of it. Again, this is going mainstream. I don't really understand a lot of it, and there's some room for, error here, right? But the fact that this is at a level of where it's at and what's being studied is absolutely exciting, right? This could be proof of non-human intelligence sort of right in our atmosphere. Probes, alien probes up there, alien satellites, I don't know. Observing, watching, coming down, I don't know. I had one question, like, where are those things now? Can we go up and check them out? I mean, we've sent things up since. Wouldn't we have noticed something up there, or was it temporary, or how long were they there for? I wonder if any of that's explained. Again, I tried to look into as much as I could. I couldn't answer those questions, but maybe that will all come out. But either way, this is very exciting. So look, like I said, this is in mainstream science. Even Dr. Brian Keating has talked about it. He put this video out on X, and he's normally very skeptical about this topic, and even he was extremely excited about this. He had a great quote in this video. Skepticism is warranted, but so is curiosity.
Amazing news today. Report on it before I teach class today, and that's that potentially extraterrestrial objects were detected in 1952, 5 years before Sputnik. Astronomers at Palomar Observatory here in San Diego detected strange flashes of light, and a new paper claims these might be artificial reflections from objects in orbit before the space program in Russia began. Beatrice Villarroel and her team re-examined plates from the Palomar Sky Survey, POS. They looked for simultaneously flashing lights in a 50-minute exposure. Out of nearly 300,000 short-duration transients, they found a handful of linear alignments, with some about 4 sigma in significance. But one eerie event occurred in summer 1952, the same night as a Washington UFO apparently made its appearance. Now, the authors claim that these could be specular glints, flashes of sunlight from highly, possibly artificial objects in space in geosynchronous orbit. This could be from hardware, and that would be astonishing because that was years before Sputnik itself was launched, October 1957. So these lights, flashing lights, could be explained by alternative explanations that the authors talk about. So-called plate defects, dust emulsion bubbles, scanner noise, they can all imitate these optical ghosting effects. So can cameras themselves. Statistical clustering of thousands of objects will sometimes occur by chance. And even they concede that without examining plates under a microscope, it's a little premature to claim that ET has been detected. But if genuine, it would imply that reflective objects were orbiting the Earth in the 1950s, years before humans were able to do that themselves. These are so-called new objects, non-terrestrial artifacts. They've been talked about for years, since Bracewell in the 1960s. So we have to see if it can be replicated, obviously. So a 22 sigma result sounds impressive, but when the sample includes tens of thousands of potential artifacts, that it's possible that systematic errors can predominate. UFO waves have to be demonstrated conclusively, and there are other interpretations that could be interpreted. Sputnik, of course, was the first artificial satellite launched in 1957. I spoke about that recently with Chris Hadfield, who is skeptical that any of the UAPs that have been claimed are actually alien in origin. Skepticism is warranted, but so is curiosity. This is incredibly exciting. So if we can get higher resolution scans or looking through the archive or work from past and current ongoing missions like the Galileo project, this could potentially confirm or refute these ghosts that appear from the 1950s in Palomar's sky survey data. I've invited Beatrice on to discuss these fascinating results, and I'll let you know if she does come on.
And look, he got very nerdy there with all the details. And for some of you, that was awesome. And, that's the gist of him. He's basically saying that, this is very exciting, but there could be some room for error. But let's definitely look into this, right? Like, that's cool. So I'm very excited about this. And I've seen all kinds of people tweet about this and talk about it way outside the UFO community, in the scientific community. So in a lot of ways, just that particular aspect is a breakthrough in and of itself. Now, I think the whole topic as a whole is becoming more mainstream and okay to talk about, even though, quote, disclosure might be in ruins. The stigma around the topic is slowly being chipped away. I mean, Bill Maher and company talked about this on Real Time just recently.
I am into it. I think, first of all, the Pentagon now is, by law, has to give reports on this stuff. And if I were in charge of, I would do wall-to-wall coverage of these generals that have to sit there and say, there's weird stuff we don't know what is.
Yeah.
To me, that's news.
Well, we've had that in Congress.
We should be talking about it.
We are. I just think there are certain people who just think this goes in the file with the nuts who think we didn't land on the moon and every other conspiracy theory, and it's different.
I think it's different.
There's no scientific reason. Carl Sagan said it. There's no scientific reason why we would necessarily be alone in the universe. We might be, but increasingly it looks like we're at very least under surveillance. Let's hope that they're just observing and not readying us, for it. I don't want Keanu Reeves to come down and say, look, we gave you the benefit of the doubt, but you're just way too destructive. I mean, that could be what's coming.
Yeah, the last thing we want is Keanu Reeves coming down and telling us anything about the world ending.
Are you aware of an impending attack on the planet Earth?
You should let me go.
And look, to be fair to Bill Maher, I will say this. The people that don't believe we landed on the moon, they also believe in aliens. Trust me, I hang out with these people all day long. I'm one of them, right? And there's definitely conspiracies all the way around, because you can believe we're not alone in the universe and still believe in a lot of crazy conspiracies about that, meaning the government's covered it up. There's a breakthrough civilization. There's reptile aliens in the government. NHI's running the government, yada, yada, yada. So you can get carried away in this topic very quickly. But his point still stands, and I agree. This is a little separate. This is a little different, because the idea that, is there other life? Well, we have a reference for life, us. So the idea that there would be other life is not that crazy, right? The question then becomes, has that life come here and or is here? But either way, love where this is going, and shout out to Dr. Beatrice and her team. This is very, very exciting. I, for one, this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for in the community personally, and I think it's amazing. And I look forward to see what comes up of this and if it can be confirmed, because holy shit, right? Holy shit. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys on the next one. Links down below. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Every day is a gift, y'all. Peace.
Hi there, sir. My name is Jacob White. I am a plasma fusion researcher, and I was actually reaching out because I had a very interesting topic I'd like to discuss with you about, and it is very much related to the UFO topic. In a nutshell, what I have recently discovered quite potentially is civilization altering. I'm not saying that definitively, but I am saying that pretty confidently, if that makes sense. What I found is if we replace mass with tension, we can create what's called hydromagnetodynamic lift. In a nutshell, anti-gravity technology. And I have simulations, I have research that I can give to you to demonstrate the capabilities of this technology. And it has been validated by the U.S. government. And furthermore, I'm being actively suppressed and retaliated against. I would love to discuss this with you. I need eyes and ears on this because this is significant. Even putting aside all the UFO stuff, it changes things. That's all I can really say. This is a very serious matter, sir. So serious that I've even decided to reach out to Congress, though I've yet to hear back. Again, I'll be more than happy to discuss a lot more detail and give you all the information that I can when I hear back from you. So I appreciate your time, sir. Take care.